Welcome to It All Boils Down to This, the podcast where father and son take the kitchen table arguments and heated discussions from their home directly to yours. Jim and Jack Boyle will explore the world as only they can. We might even let a few guests join the fun. So sit back, choose a side, watch the water temperature rise, and enjoy stimulating generational conversation about sports and life. Welcome to episode 39 of It All Boils Down to This, joined again by Jack Boyle. This is a Wednesday night broadcast after the Celtics had swept Indianapolis. What are you shaking your head for there, Jack?
No, I'm just thinking things are up for me. I mean, my teams are winning.
A lot of things going good here. The Celtics have, like I said, have swept. Last night, Minnesota extended their series. Now it's 3-1. So let's just talk about the Celtics. They're 12-2 in the playoffs. They were challenged a little bit by Indianapolis. Just what's your take? Let's hear the Jack Boyle take before we talk about everybody else's takes.
Before we get there, I just can't believe they won with Tatum and Brown hating each other so much.
Oh yeah, that's true.
What was played on ESPN this morning? This is Wednesday, the 29th of May. It was something you would see out of, we mentioned him on the show before, out of like a Castro regime. They played a video of of Brown winning the MVP and them going, the whole team's going nuts. And Tatum's standing there and he looks disappointed. And they're playing the video and Tatum's clapping and smiling. While the video's playing, they're saying he's all pissed off. So it's crazy. The narrative around this team, it got even worse. We talked about it last week. I think when we recorded our last podcast, it was right before game one.
Right before game one, correct.
They swept 4-0, and it's like they just got nothing changed.
Yes. Well, I had that down as one of the last things talking it, but I understand what you're saying. Let's look at that series. It was they can't make now there's a couple of excuses. Well, they've luckily played teams that haven't had anybody healthy. Alvin got hurt. They don't play in the clutch. They're terrible down the stretch. They don't make good decisions. And like I always bitch about the coach, all that other stuff. So if you look at that, let's look at the 4-game series in totality. They won every game. They're 4-0. Were there were there issues with it? Yes. Let's look at game one. Game one, they had a big lead early and they had a big lead in the third quarter. And I'm not saying they take the foot off the gas, but they did sort of like struggle a little bit. I think a lot of that has to do with the way Indianapolis plays offense. And their offense is such a scattered offense, and everything's happening all over the place. And they with the defensive genius that they have, they sometimes had trouble with that offense. But in game one, they were down 3, didn't have the ball. Brown makes the steal, knocks it off of Siakam's hands. Then Holiday makes a great pass into Brown. He hits the 3. They go to overtime. Tatum takes over. So how were you feeling during that game? What were the emotions? And what was
it's done. That game was over. Like that game, you can't the thing with this series is, again, like how the narrative hasn't changed at all. They did exactly what everyone said they couldn't do this series, which was win in these clutch moments, and they played flawless in them. I know Indiana's on defense again, but they played flawless in the Eastern Conference Finals in the clutch moments. Now, but the example for that is, I think the game 3 and 4 is how they really handle those clutch situations. Game 1 was such a fluke because that game was over, and Indiana threw it to them. Again, you got to take it, and they did win in overtime, and Jaylen Brown does have to make that shot, but it's a fluke shot. So game 1, that game was over. So I know you're going to rip on me for being all pissed off, but
yeah, you were something else.
It did. It felt like Miami last year when it's like, dude, how do we lose this game? How do we lose to this team?
That's exactly.
They did have a lead. They had a lead in the third, fourth quarter, maybe, and they lost. And it was just, I was.
So they didn't make shots late in the middle part of the game anyway. They got a lead. Tatum made that stupid underhand pass that you talked to me for about 3 weeks, 3 days. All I heard.
You know what? The sweep ruined that. That was. I had that like Havlicek stole the ball. It was like the Tatum underhand pass that almost ruined.
I had to listen to it. And just for a loyal listener, I had to listen to that all night.
Real quick, he threw an underhand pass in like the third quarter. I think they were up 13. They had the ball up. They just got another stop in the third quarter, and Tatum threw Tatum from he was behind half court. He threw it cross court, just in a little bit in transition, underhand pass to Jaylen Brown. I forget who stole it. Easiest steal ever. Since then, they were terrible. He was terrible since that moment. It almost ruined the Celtics season. No one's going to talk about it, but the Tatum underhand pass is the worst play I've ever seen.
Famous Tatum underhand.
They ended up sweeping. They won those games clutch. Drew Holiday was doing things that was unbelievable. Al Horford started making shots. Who cares about game 1 and all those bad things that happened that third quarter?
A question: do you think that losing Halliburton offensively hurt them? Maybe, but defensively, I think it helped them because he's a horrible defender.
Yeah, you're probably right.
So that made then you get the kid Nemhart, and I think Neesmith was lost, but Siakam and Nemhart carried
Was
them.
there that big of a difference in Nemhard and Halliburton, the way Nemhard played
No,
games?
I didn't notice there was a difference.
He played
He
as good as
stepped up.
Halliburton was playing.
So you give him credit. And defensively, I think Halliburton is a horrible defender. Game 2, they dominated. Celtics dominated. Game 3, they were down 18 going to the middle of the third quarter. And like I said, all they did was turn up the screws a little bit on defense, turn them over, made them miss their shots, and converted offensively. And they come back and won that game. And game 4, they held them scoreless for the last 3.5 minutes. So again, I think this whole thing comes down to, we'll talk about the finals in a little bit. If they can turn up the defense without Porzingis as a rim protector, they're going to beat every team out there. That's why they won all these games. Like, what are they now? 74 and
20.
whatever?
20.
20, 74, 20, is it?
It's
So,
20. I know it's 20.
but that's what happens when they play great defense. And then again, everybody's waiting for Tatum to turn it on in the second half of game 1, or overtime game 1, he turns on. Jaylen Brown had a great series, offensive, defensively. You and I had the discussion. I think that Drew Holiday was a major factor in the series. But then again, Tatum, what was he? 30, 10, and 5. I mean, those are great numbers.
So that's what I started with. It's like the Tatum and Brown thing. That's what the media is going with today. So again, the Celtics, they win the championship. This is all. It's crazy. It'll just, I don't know. It'll be unbelievable.
Right.
What the media will do. Like
I told you that last week.
I think that's the pivot. It's going to be Tatum versus Brown. Like it won't be. I think that's what it's going to be, and I think that's actually going to elevate Jaylen.
Or it'll be Luka got hurt, or Luka's knees bothering him, or Kyrie got screwed up by them chanting the "F you, Kyrie" chant. You know, there's always going to be a narrative somewhere for somebody for somehow, right? And you got to understand that. I told you that last week. No matter what happens, there's going to be someone out there who's going to piss you off because of their narrative. That's the way it works, especially when you're the best team. You know, I think that now the next narrative is they couldn't put them away, or they got lucky, or whoever. So that was my next point, was before we do the 2 J's, is every time they talk about the teams that the Celtics have played that didn't have their best players, right? Never once is there a mention of who? Porzingis.
Oh, Porzingis. Yeah, sure.
Never.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
But the Celtics are playing without their third best leading scorer.
Well, okay. Back, you were talking about Tatum and Brown. The whole Tatum, it's so out of hand. All you see, all I see on like First Take today is like Brown's the number one guy. Tatum. And again, I love Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown is not the number one guy on the team. He just isn't. In the late game situations, who has the ball? Who is the defense scheming for more? All that stuff. Forget that. Tatum's got the height and all that, and he's got the vision, and he's just a little bit better of a basketball player. But like what gets lost in all this, Tatum's getting not the 1A. Tatum's getting trashed on. Brown's better than him. Tatum did something he throughout the Eastern Conference playoffs. I think he led the team in points, rebounds, and assists. That's I think only like 5 players in NBA history have done that. And he's getting criticized for his performance in these playoffs. And he did something.
Or he gets criticized for not being overtly excited that Jaylen Brown beat him. Who cares who won the Eastern Conference MVP? Who cares?
And then what else was getting? It was like Jaylen Brown's more of a leader in that locker room than Tatum. What are you talking about? That's just not true. He is more outspoken. They're different personalities, but in terms of leader and keeping that locker room together, they're both equally valuable.
I will say right now, in a leadership deal, Drew Holiday is number 1. No doubt about it. He's won.
Yeah, no, he's not. But I understand that. But in terms of keeping the locker room together and keeping this thing that we've had for the past couple of years with Celtics basketball together, it's Tatum and Brown equally, because they're the superstars, and they can. If you get moody in the NBA and you're their level of player, you can cause a lot of disruption. We've seen it. So they deserve credit for that. And Tatum deserves credit for that. He does, and he doesn't.
No, I think he's I was listening to, there was a podcast. Who was the podcast? It was, who's the guy, the dumpy guy from Cleveland? What's his name?
Windhorst?
Windhorst. He was just saying that, Tatum's not one of the top 5 players in the NBA, and he's not going to get to the top 5 player in the NBA because he's never going to be better than Luka or whatever. And I think I said this before. I think he's criminally underrated by the national media because they're winning. I mean, every Ant-Man, or who was the take? Kenny Smith. Let's go back to that Kenny Smith take. Kenny Smith take on, it's not going to be the Celtics won, is that Luke or Ant lost. And then of course, good old Charles Barkley. That's the dumbest take I ever heard. You were going to hear these takes. Like, it's even like they had Adonis Haslam on with, and the one day I didn't work last week on this page, yesterday, Adonis Haslam was on with your good friend Kendrick Perkins, and whatever garbage they're talking. If we had Jimmy, if we had a Tyler Hero, if we had me, we would have won that series. There's no effing way Miami is going to win a series against the Celtics. They stole the one game because they shot well, but you're never gonna beat the narrative because you are the top dog right now, and that's what everybody is shooting after. Shoot for the top dog. You told me that.
But one thing, real quick, I'm starting to think this Kendrick Perkins thing. I want to talk to him behind closed doors. Like, I want to know what he's like behind closed doors.
An act.
Just an actor, is he the biggest idiot?
An act.
But the act doesn't make sense because he has a vote, and like the thing he said, like about Jaylen Brown's better than Tatum. You voted for Tatum and you didn't vote for Brown.
Listen, so things that are done behind closed doors. It's just like you and me. I mean, I could project one point right now.
I'm not like that though. I'm not like that. I'm true to my takes. Luka Doncic will never win a title. All this sort of stuff.
So that's what it is. They're trying to get views. They're getting paid to say outrageous things, and that's how it works. Outrageous things. No doubt about it. So you had told me that you were driving.
He's not saying, it's not like outrageous things. Like Skip Bayless will say outrageous things, and he'll be good at him in his prime. Skip Bayless is like I'm trying to think of someone who was really he was really still trying to go and he sucked. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But that's where Skip Bayless is great. He was good in his prime. Perkins just says dumb. Like Perkins is just stupid.
But Perkins is a Celtic guy who doesn't get invited to Celtic things. He's pissed at the Celtics, and he says whatever he wants. But you gotta, I think that's the chatter you gotta ignore. Now, you told me as you came in today.
Only chatter was out there.
What happened with JJ Redick on Felger Mass today?
Oh, I don't know. He acted like he was talking to preschoolers, but that's when JJ kind of comes off as an a-hole. But he shouldn't have been on that show. I turned on the radio driving home today, by the way. Felger Mass, they pivoted. You're not even gonna believe that this is real. I forgot. No, this is
gonna be awesome.
Their pivot has been now it's been that you're not getting criticized that much. That's what they're pivoting to. It's like you guys are whining about how much they're getting criticized. It's not that bad. That's what they're doing now. Honestly, the guy, Tony Maz, a month ago said that, this championship won't count if they do it this easily, is now pivoting to, you guys aren't getting criticized that much. It's not like LeBron. It's not like Jordan. The thing is that's crazy. It is like LeBron.
Well, funny thing is,
I lived through that. This is as big as LeBron. And Tatum's not that level of a talent. Brown's not that level of a talent. Right. And somehow the hate and the criticism in this is on the level of LeBron, which doesn't make any sense.
First of all, the dumbass thing about that is Jordan in the 90s was not really criticized. He criticized for me.
No, it was in the 80s, but he wasn't criticized.
He wasn't criticized.
He criticized that much against the Pistons.
He was criticized when they didn't win.
Against the Pistons. Was he criticized as much as LeBron?
No, because social media is so outrageous.
And how about this Celtics team?
No, not even
close. Which is nuts. But that's the pivot on Felger and Matt.
Because we're intimately involved in this, we notice all the chatter. Right? If this was happening in Philadelphia, they're bitching on B, we wouldn't.
No, Dad, this is not individual. Dad, you turn on I might go down and turn on ESPN right now, and I almost guarantee you there's a 50% chance they're talking about the Celtics and if they're overrated and if they're not, blah, blah, blah. I guarantee everyone is talking about the Celtics right now. That's not a little local thing.
So I think
this is one of the biggest, most criticized sports teams I've ever seen in my life. And hands down in Massachusetts and Boston sports in my life.
They're the alpha dog. They're getting beat up as the alpha dog. Nobody's satisfied unless they win.
Your point.
The narrative is they don't win, they suck.
The 16 and 17 Red Sox were a local. They got criticized. They weren't hammered all around. Nobody cared that the Red Sox didn't win. They didn't have the best record in the league. They weren't a national story, right? In 16, 17. But it was they were chokers. In this town, they were criticized a lot. This Celtics thing is bigger than that. This Celtics thing is the biggest story in sports right now.
Well, again, because
the biggest story in sports are the Celtics right now. It's crazy.
Social media has a lot to do with it, and all the talking heads. And we do a podcast. We could be just as guilty if we start bitching about them as well.
I don't.
I think if you turn ESPN on right now, you're going to hear about how great Anthony and KAT were, and how bad Luka and Kyrie were. That's what you're going to hear. That's the narrative.
No, they don't criticize Kyrie. Kyrie gets.
Oh, they don't touch Kyrie.
I've seen people say that Kyrie's the second best player in the series. He went for 18 on 6 of 18 shooting last night. He doesn't even. It doesn't even get a mention.
But I thought
If Tatum did that, it would. If he went 6 of 18 with
yeah,
4 rebounds and 18
yeah,
point or
it was.
16 points, it would be oh my God, it would be he's not it, but Kyrie's better than him. I don't know. I don't know where we're at.
It's really
The
irrelevant.
world's weird.
So let's go on to the Celtics have won. They swept. They get the finals don't start till Thursday the 6th, which is a week from tomorrow as we record this because we're on a Wednesday night.
Oh.
Right, a week from tomorrow.
Russell Wilson and Justin Fields.
Oh, because you know why? Because
that's what they're talking about.
Justin Fields is supposed to return kicks.
And I'm gonna leave this on a bit because I want to see if they're next
returning kicks for me. I think I'm just looking at the box. So we are a week away. The good news was Minnesota took a game from Dallas at home, and they get to go back home. So you might extend that series up to Sunday, which is always benefits the Celtics because Luka needs some rest.
Yeah, they do.
We talk about this. If you look at both teams, and everyone's got 2 superstars we're going to consider, right? The Celtics got Jalen and JT.
Can we just real quick, because we've been talking about the Celtics for a while, and you can do this after. Kevin, he's mad at us because we haven't been consistent with this. And there's a guy we really haven't discussed yet, and it's hilarious that this just came out Sports Center. Oh, they just took him off, but it's the coach, Gerard Mayo.
Oh God, who cares?
Drake May they were just talking about Drake May on Sports Center. I'm all in with the Drake. I love the Drake. The Drake is great. But Drake May.
Is that for Kevin? We're talking about the Drake. Kevin, shout out to Kevin O'Donnell.
Yeah, I had to bring that up because the Drake he's going to suck this year, but he's going to be a good player. He's like the total opposite personality as Mac Jones. Right. He had that Tatum jersey on. He's in the Jaylen Brown picture. One of the Jaylen Brown pictures.
Oh, he is.
Obviously not the great picture, the real cool picture of Jaylen, the best one. The other one where he's running kind of back down the court. Drake May's in the background like this with the Tatum jersey on. So I like Drake May. Drake May's had a good start with becoming popular with the fans in Boston.
So because we're shouting out our loyal listener, Kevin O'Donnell, we got to shout out our other. I think we have 2 more loyal listeners. We need to shout out Brian Kane. And I know, Brian, your team is struggling there a little. I hear you got maybe 1 or 2 wins. So it's a struggle down at the Rotary Park. And then is it John Marquardt, another loyal listener? Is that true, John?
I don't know if he's still in. We haven't been popping.
I know. We're not making this. What happens is Jack is working. I was coaching baseball. We haven't been able to get in the studio to make it consistent because if we're in the studio, I can edit it right away. It gets right. So let's go back to the Celtics, depending on who they play. Huh?
No one cares. You don't even make excuses. Do you think I care that Kevin doesn't get his podcast every week?
You should care.
No one's listening to
Let's
this.
get Kevin in next week.
Kevin. He can go listen to Arse blog or whoever.
We're gonna get
whoever those idiot loser Arsenal people.
Yeah, I got Tommy Trevisani lined up for after when the playoffs start next week. We'll bring him in. Listen to him.
That's the other thing. The playoffs haven't started yet. The playoffs haven't started yet for the Celtics. I kind of do. That's the one narrative I kind of do agree with. But yeah, with Tommy T, it's like
he still hates Jaylen Brown, by the way.
He's an idiot. Yeah, no.
So shout out to Tommy.
No, Tommy T. We do need. I wish we had him on now because I want to hear what he.
It'd be great. But we'll get him
next week. One of his heroes.
If I can sneak into the studio, we'll do it next week. It's easier to Zoom out of the studio than at home, because you and I are doing this at home. So I was back to my main thought on that is we've got Dallas and Minnesota left. Each team has a superstar, we'll call it Luka and Ant, and then Tatum. And then each team has a second guy who's Irving. We'll go Cat, and then we'll go with Brown. We talk about
Dad. Stop.
What?
You didn't just say Cat, Jaylen Brown, and Irving. Get fucking Cat. You can't say that. Makes the Timberwolves look awful. That's the guy in the conversations with those. I just laugh.
Who's the second?
Dad, when I heard those 3 names mentioned together, it's like 2 elite NBA players and then Cat.
Well, that's all Minnesota has, though.
I know.
If you're ranking the top players in
we're doing that. Cat
in each series. So if they play Dallas, you and I had this discussion. Number 1 is going to be Luka, no doubt about it, right?
Yeah, you get the wrong 2 on Minnesota, by the way.
Who's the 2?
Nas. He's the best. He's the best. I love Nas.
Hey, you know what? Here's the deal. If Minnesota makes it to the finals, we stop podcasting. I'm just doing my Detroit Lions thing.
That's yeah. I don't.
The odds are against them. 0-52.
0-154.
Yeah, whatever. Yes. So that gives me a chance to shout out the 2004 Red Sox, who were the only team other than hockey to do it. Come back from 2004. So who's the number 2 guy? Is it Tatum or Irving? Who are the national media going to say is number
We
2?
already talked about. I just talked about how stupid that take is a while ago. Yeah, it's duh. It's Tatum, Brown, then Irving.
And I get you right now. It's going to be Luka, Tatum, Irving, Brown.
I don't care. Who cares?
I'm just saying. So
I know.
then that's
I know what I know what I know, and I know Jaylen Brown is a better basketball player than Kyrie Irving.
I agree with you, but I'm just saying that's to be the narrative.
Okay.
So because that's how they're going to get this series about Porzingis back to Dallas, Irving with Boston, the two great superstars.
What's so crazy?
That's what's going to be the narrative.
Before I take anyone else on Minnesota, I think I'm taking Porzingis, Holiday, and Brown and Tatum. Well, obviously I'm taking, but I think I'm taking Porzingis and Holiday as well before I'm taking Nas and maybe even Derek White. So Minnesota, I don't know how they beat Denver. I really don't. But with
defense,
I don't know. I like Lively when he played against us, but I don't know. PJ Washington. Remember, go look up Jason Tatum's stats against Washington. He scores like 40 every time. PJ Washington's gonna stop him. All right, come on.
Okay, let's go Minnesota. This is a better one then. Just so you know that Anthony Edwards, or Ant, whatever they call him, he played 40 minutes last night. He was 11 for 25 for 29 points. He took 25 shots to get 29 points. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Dallas, Luka, 21 shots for 28 points, and Kyrie, 18 shots for 16 points.
Yeah, I know. Can I just say something about Anthony Edwards, that Jordan thing? Why is no one compare him to Kobe? He's way more Kobe than he is Jordan. And
you know why? Because
Kobe isn't as outrageous as saying Jordan. It's still outrageous.
You know why? Because Kobe is reverend.
No, don't. We don't. No, shut up. You don't need to go on a Kobe.
The helicopter went down.
Okay, Dad, stop, dude. Just stop, dude. Seriously, I'm not even kidding. That's not even funny. Like, honestly, it's not. Like, we have our thoughts on Kobe. You don't have to do that. No, that's just not funny. It's one of the dumbest things ever. What are you doing? Yeah, okay, forget it. Forget the comparison.
So you think that the Celtics, Anthony, or who's number one if they play Minnesota, Anthony or JT?
Tatum, by far.
Then Anthony 2 and Jaylen Brown 3?
Yeah, I'll take Anthony Edwards over Jaylen Brown, yeah.
And then Porzingis, White before Towns.
Yeah, Holiday. Yeah, I don't know. I like Nas. I don't like and Gobert's. I feel bad for the guy. He's getting annihilated. He should be on the Celtics with how much.
So that because we know we're gonna know who their opponent is before our next podcast anyway, because it'll be settled by Tuesday at the latest, right? They play Thursday, Saturday, Monday, whatever it is. We'll know who it is. Going on the fact that it's going to be Dallas. What scares you the most about the Dallas? What should we
just shot making ability, I guess. That would be really what scares me in late game situations is his ability to make tough shots. That 100% scares me. So if they keep the game close, they can win it late because of how good he is in those situations.
So who would you be more worried about, him or Jokic?
Jokic, because he's just better. I think he impacts the game more. So Jokic, yeah.
Do we need to be worried about Kyrie going off one game?
Yeah, he'll go off one game. So did James Harden. Well, what does that mean?
And is Derek
He's got clunkers in him, and he's a mental midget too.
Derek Lively is hurt.
Kyrie's like 0-10 his last 10 games in the Garden or something, or against the Celtics. And
Kyrie was like 11-0 or 12-0 in deciding games in whatever they call them.
Yeah, you know LeBron.
Right.
He had LeBron.
He did.
He had Kevin Durant, and he had Jason.
He was hurt the one year when they had the lead, closeout games we'll call it, closeout. So you have the lead, you have to close it out. So the LeBron thing.
1-0 with Jason Tatum. He was pretty good with
LeBron. He didn't play the one year they had the closeout.
I know, but they beat the Pacers.
Right, that's true.
They swept them. That was a closeout with JT.
So that's the thing that's going to happen, I think, really. I look forward that Kyrie and Luka and the Jaylen and JT, that'll be the narrative. It'll be great. Porzingis gets another week to rest. I think they're going to need him to stabilize some things because Al cannot play another. Of course, they've been very lucky. They haven't played 7-game series. Al's only played 12 games, and he got to sit and rest on one of them at least. So Porzingis, I think the factor is if Porzingis comes back, I don't think they've gotten great play out of White since the beginning, offensively since the beginning of.
Made a big shot in Game 4.
Made a huge shot in Game 4, and they do a lot of things right. They're very tough to defend. I think with Dallas, I look at it. You just have to, you can't go underneath the screen to give them the opportunity, or you got to go under screens or whatever because they'll do the lob and all that crap because Doncic says that. Look, I'm not a big Doncic fan. I know you're not either, but we'll see what happens with Minnesota and Dallas. My final thing was just I know we talked about this earlier. It's the talking heads, and I know they're frustrating you as all hell, and I find it funny that is every once in a while somebody steps up and they say, you know what, the Celtics they're winning games. They're doing it the right way. Tatum's 35, 10, and 10, or 35, 10, and 5. What are we complaining about? I mean, I think that, and I forget who said it, but are we nitpicking? It was Jay Williams. You know, Jay Williams, the bald dude, crashed his motorcycle, was from Duke. He said, "Why are we nitpicking the Celtics?"
You don't get credit. Don't give him credit. You know what he said in October after
but
the
that's
first
October.
game?
I'm talking about he made it.
No.
What did he say in October?
He said after one game, there's less redundancies with Damian Lillard and Giannis than there has been in 7 years with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. So
right. How that Joe well?
And we also, Joe Mazzulla, first black coach in the Celtic history, could win a title.
Is that Jay Williams?
That was Jay Williams, yeah.
But that's the talking head issues. I think that we just have to sit here. It's going to be a week of this, Jack. We got another week of listening to this crap. So you just have to, it's hard to avoid it. Like I said, I was home one morning this past week, and I turned on ESPN, and Shannon Sharp's got Adonis Haslam and Kendrick Perkins on, and just the garbage coming out of it. I think you have to try to avoid it. I think it's time to enjoy the run. They're going to either win or lose. There's only one other team that can win the championship other than the Celtics right now. So it's a great place to be in. The other team might get another game. Doncic will be the excuse will be this.
How aren't you watching Paul Pierce, by the way? You're home. Paul Pierce is on at the same time.
I don't know what's on.
He's so funny.
I put whatever's on. What channel Pierce on?
He's with Skip.
I don't even know where Skip is.
Oh my God, Skip's like Pierce on the Wizard. Oh my God, he's like Pierce. That's what he's like. On the Clippers. He's like Pierce on the Clippers.
So I think it's going to be because there's so much time. It's like the 2 weeks before the Super Bowl. Everything happens, and let's enjoy the next week. And I will say the narrative is going to be this: if that series goes to the 6th game, they go back. Let's say Minnesota wins 5. They're going to go back to Dallas. They play on Saturday or Sunday. The narrative is going to be that Luka, if the Celtics win, well, Luka wasn't 100% because they had to play the long series and he was hurt.
Who cares?
Wait till you hear the excuse.
Who cares? It doesn't matter in the finals. It still matters because we haven't won it yet, but in the finals, who cares? We're going to win if we win. If we're up 2-0, I don't care. You can criticize me. I will be watching every show, every clip on YouTube. If we're up 2-0 and we're getting slandered, I'll be laughing at it. It's still
right. That's right. That's
not right. In the finals,
that's positive. Now we
should have another podcast before the finals start.
We should live stream the finals. I'm telling you right now.
No.
People would really enjoy you watching the finals.
No.
Gotcha. We'll invite everyone over and live stream the finals.
No.
Here we go. Live stream the finals with Jim and Jack Boyle, and it all boils down to this. You would not want it because you go absolutely berserko.
Yeah.
You do.
It's not worth it. We don't need it. All right. No,
I think it'll be good.
Get off of basketball. I've talked way too much basketball.
Well, we have one more important basketball thing to talk about.
Who? Bill Walton?
Bill Walton.
What a guy.
I mean, I thought watching was fun.
You know what you did? You put Fred Toucher. He was trashing on Bill Walton. It's like you and Kobe. That's what he was doing.
Bill Walton. How can you trash on Bill Walton?
I don't know. They got in a fight. I don't know. It's like him and Shaq were. How do you have beef with
Shaq's beef was weird though. I'll give Shaq a lot of credit. He admitted he was wrong. He said, "Listen, my beef was he was criticizing me and I was young and immature." Right? Yeah, and
no, he did
was trying to make me better. And they said on the panel, that's what we do. We talk to players. Our job is to look at their flaws and their greatness and talk about their flaws and then maybe make them better. The thing about Bill Walton was when he came here in '86, of course, long before most of our audience was even alive. He was a funny ass guy here, and he was riding his bike from Cambridge to the Garden. He was going to the Dead concert. He was all over the place. I mean,
did you ever see him?
All over the place. I never saw him live. I wish I had, because he probably would have talked to you. But the stories that are coming out, there's some really, 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 really great stories about who he was and how he treated people. And, I think that stuff gets lost. He's a great ambassador for the game of basketball. The John Wooden story was the beard and the long hair. And he goes out and cuts it and says, I want to play. I'm not stupid. I mean, he was a rebel, but not stupid. There was a really good thing. Mike Breen told a great story about his dad and getting on the USS Midway that he served on in Korea. And there was one other really, I forget who told another very personal story about their parents or their brothers and sisters. Bill Walton was just phenomenal. So, you know, as goofy as he was, and the Grateful Dead stories are great. Just the kind of person, just I love the attitude. He was Ted Lasso before Ted Lasso. The positive attitude. Be curious, not judgmental kind of thing, and always be nice to people and always wish them well and always be good. Now I'm sure he had his dick moments when he didn't want to play for Portland because he thought they were screwing him to get a free agent in a trade. But as he's lived through his 71 years of life, I think he touched a lot of people in the right way. And I think he was really good for basketball. And like Shaq said, he was one of the forefathers of big men basketball, whatever it was.
Yeah, he is getting credit for how good he was in the 70s. Because he
And
was
I always,
he was maybe the second, like, honestly, if you're ranking like the best players of the 70s, just all things considered, and who progressed basketball the most in the 70s, it'd probably be Kareem, him, Dr. J.
Dr. J, yeah. Well, he was. I've had this discussion with those youngsters at school about Bill Walton, and I said if he had not gotten hurt, now he did get hurt. He was, and like somebody said last night, Luke. He was Jokic before Jokic. He really was. Saw the court well, passed well, could make that 10, 12, 15 footer. Great leaping ability. There's some pictures of watching him play, how high he gets because he had long arms. He could probably almost touch the top of the backboard as a 7-footer. But he was better. His injuries took away a lot of the greatness, and that's a shame. But I agree with you on the 70s. He might have been Pete Maravich could have been up there too, but he and Pete Maravich fall to me in the same realm where they got hurt.
Yeah, but did Pete win a title in the NBA?
No,
And Walton did in the
he won
70s.
two.
No, he not
Dr. J didn't win one
in
in
the
the 70s.
in the 70s, I'm saying.
Dr. J didn't win one in the 70s either.
Well, yeah, didn't they beat them?
They beat the Sixers, right? In 77.
I heard that they were down like 2-0 or something.
They were down like 2-0, and they just to sure that because I was in Philly at the time. That was a really great time for Philly sports. The Flyers had won 2 Stanley Cups. The Sixers had gotten Dr. J. The Phillies were perennial East champions. But that was a tough one in Philly. He played great, and I think his greatness is it's funny. It's overshadowed by the person he became, and a lot of people look at him as just a caricature of a human being because he was this goofy dude who had a great time. But as you listen to the stories that are being told about him, it's the world, like somebody said last night, it's a lesser place today than it was yesterday because he's not here. And I wish that we all would have that impact on people. He had a platform. He used his platform well, and just God bless him. And as he would say, shine on, or whatever his Grateful Dead quotes are. So when I quote Bruce Springsteen, you understand it's quoting Bruce Springsteen. I love to you guys, and like he quotes the Grateful Dead. But again, Bill Walton, I mean, you can't say anymore. I great that he was on the air. It's great that I got to see him broadcast. He was a phenomenal broadcaster, an even better basketball player. So that's my Bill Walton piece for the day. As we get ready to go through our quick run through of fun things that have happened to us over the week. There was a special game on Saturday. I think you got the red on, which is your Man U actually won the FA Cup over Man City. After you told me that their coach was getting fired, I don't understand. How does it work? What's going on? How does that work?
What happened? I got sidetracked by Felger and Maz a little bit. They were saying stuff. Maz said they should be 12-0. Forget it. Well, Man United. What about us? We won.
So you won the FA Cup. You beat Man City. You won the league.
Last 2 years. Ten Hag, all he does is win trophies. If we don't want him, we'll go somewhere else.
How many trophies has
That was
Ten Hag
one of
won?
the greatest quotes ever. For a guy who hasn't that many great quotes, I still like the guy. He's won 2. He won the Carabao Cup. But for a guy, for him to drop that quote, I got to find the exact quote. It was just a great quote in the moment.
I think he said, "If you fire me, I'll go somewhere else and win more trophies."
Yeah, but I want the exact way he said it. I don't know. That the fact that we had 2 teenagers score 2 who were FA Youth Cup final winners with us. You know how we watch that Man United stuff and it's like the class of 92 and they have all those young guys. The reason they're the class of 92 is they won the 92 Youth Cup. We won the Youth Cup, I think it was 2 years ago. And to see the two best players from that team score in the final, that second goal, you remember that there's that Michael Cohen clip in court? It's like, how many did you do this? 5 times? More. 100 times? More. 200 times? More. 500 times? Like, that's me. How many times have you watched this goal? I've watched it a million times. Every time it gets better. The Bruno pass, it was just so good for the team. That's season
good.
was awful season. gets us into the Europa League. It might save his job. It was the perfect ending. Like a player, again, like Bruno Fernandes, he deserved that so much, just with how much he's done for the club and how little he's won since he got here and the unfortunate situation he's been in. Just a total one and a very underrated player, Bruno Fernandes. So I'm very happy.
Why is it getting you in the Europa Cup? And
The FA Cup gets you a Europa League qualification. I don't know.
Europa League
we missed Europe. We finished 8th.
Well, Europa Cup is one lower, less
than lower than Champions League. We knocked Chelsea out of that into the third one.
So what's the number one? The UEFA Cup.
Champions League.
Champions. What's number 2?
The Europa League.
What's number 3?
They just made the Europe. I don't even know what the first.
Which one are you in?
The Conference League. We're in the second one that we're always in. We've been in that a lot.
Okay, so
remember the Europa League final? It wasn't great. It was. Remember the Europa League final when we had all those penalties? That was the Europa League. That's
no. Okay.
Now, if you win that, you get automatic qualification to the Champions League. So if we win the Europa League next year, we don't.
Okay. So let's rank because trophies. He talks about trophies.
Oh, this is a great. I'm gonna see if are we gonna rank trophies?
Yes. No. We're gonna rank trophies in soccer. I don't care about trophies because he talks about winning trophies. So
wait, I'm gonna see if he answers this. Wait, I want to see which trophy's better.
Who's answering?
He's going to be at work. He won't answer.
Who, Kevin?
Yeah.
So listen, trophies.
He's at work. He's not going to answer.
Okay. So when they win the treble, which we've heard about, it's the Champions League, or right, European Championship. It's the FA Cup, and it's the Premier League Cup, Premier League champion. Okay. How many? So those were like in that order to win.
What? What's more important to win?
Premier, FA Cup, Carabao Cup?
Yeah, I think the Champions League means the most to your club. But again, right now, winning the Premier League is as big as anything because it's just the way the league is and the way the talents came and the way it's changed. It's not like when we watch the Man United thing, it's like the 90s, we couldn't get over the hump. We couldn't beat Barcelona. You know, they had Rivaldo and all these players and blah, blah, blah. It's not like that anymore where the best teams are in England. So in winning the Premier League, how good City is. City's been the best team in the world.
So winning the Premier League, then Champions League, then FA Cup or Europa.
The Champions League, you do want to win the Champions League the most.
You want to win the Europa League?
Yeah.
Where's that rank?
So if you finish in 5th place, you want to win the Europa League more than you want to win the FA Cup because it gets you automatic qualification.
In the Champions League.
Now, the FA Cup's a more historic trophy because it's the oldest trophy in England. All the teams playing it. The Europa League's the second tier of Europe. You play frickin' Azerbaijan in the group stage.
And then the Carabao Cup is meaningless?
Yeah, pretty much. But
Ten Hag won a Carabao Cup?
It's a fun day at Wembley. Ask Liverpool what they did this year. They lost everything. They won the Carabao Cup. They're looking back at that. They had a good day at Wembley.
They're not going to complain.
Any day at Wembley is a good day at Wembley. That's how you got to look at it.
So as far as club soccer is concerned, in England, you might rank we're in the Premier League 1, Champions 2, Europa 3, FA Cup.
FA Cup 3. We'll go FA Cup 3. That's what I was going to ask Kevin.
The Europa League 4.
FA Cup, obviously.
Is 3.
Yes.
What's he have as 1? I'm curious. What's he have as 1? This is a great discussion. I love this.
No, it's going to be the Champions League. It just, especially like Liverpool have 6, Man United have 3. Arsenal have never won it. So for right now, Arsenal would take the.
How many does Man City have?
Man City has 1. They just won their first. And then Chelsea have 2. And then Aston Villa have.
Liverpool's kicking your ass.
Aston Villa have 1 or 2. Yeah, Liverpool won the one a couple years ago. They won the one in 2005, and then they won a bunch in the 70s and the 80s, I think.
All right, so we're going to go. Let's rephrase. So champion, Premier League, your FA Cup, Europa.
Like I said, if you were watching that, Man United pioneered English teams into Europe. The Munich air crash happened.
I did not get to see that. You and Mom watched that. I did not see that.
They were the first
Shout
team.
out to your mother.
In 68, they were the first team to win.
Shout out to your mother.
So it's good. It's good stuff. European. That's why the UCL, it means more. It's because it means you're the best club in Europe. It means you beat Real Madrid and Barcelona and all these.
So on an annual basis, winning the Europa League, you're winning the Champions League is number 1.
Yes, for sure.
On a every 4-year basis, winning the World Cup is obviously winning the World Cup would be number 1 no matter what. Get your country, right? Where does the win? Because I put the Olympics down here. Where does the Olympics rank?
Nowhere. The Olympics are useless. They're begging Mbappe to play in that. But we were talking about this the other day.
But I saw the U.S. Olympics didn't even have Pulisic on.
Yeah, because they're playing the Copa America
Right.
in America. So why do they care about the Olympics? The
Right.
Copa. So what we were talking about with Mbappe, who's hosting the country in France. I know Macron, the whole organ, they all want him to play in the Olympics. Neymar did this in 2016. He played in the Brazil Olympics and won them the Olympics. No one cares. Nobody
Right.
cares.
Okay, that's good.
But so Mbappe, he for his legacy, he wants to play in the Euros because that's
good
all
to
the
know.
best players
That's
in
good to
Europe
know.
play. Because all the best players in Europe are playing in the Euros.
Okay, so then all the best players in America are playing the Copa.
That's this summer, yes.
So that's why I
tournaments
saw the
this
list
summer.
of players who were on the Olympic team, and then I saw the list of players on the Copa team, and I thought the Copa team was better.
Correct.
Okay.
That's their first.
Right.
That's their number one team.
So our foray into soccer is ending because soccer is almost done, right? It's done.
It's over. Well, the champ Kevin's going to that. Our Laura,
He is going to that, right? We'll have to get
that we were talking about that Champions League. Dortmund versus Real Madrid. Our friend Sancho, and then our other friend might be going there, who we won't talk about because bad things with him. But
okay, good. So that's a Premier League.
I won't say it.
Not that I really want to talk about this much, but they did come out with Scotty Scheffler got all his charges dropped.
That guy's a loser, Officer Gillis. You're a loser.
So
that's what we need Tommy T.
And I think in the end, Scotty was very good about it. He did say it was. He thought it was a misunderstanding. He probably was.
Did you see the video that came out this morning?
Huh?
You see the video that came out this morning? The cop being like, "You hit the guy. He's really hurt."
Yeah.
That fucked up me. He's like, "Well, I didn't know he's a cop." He's like, "Well, he has a yellow vest on. You have to stop for someone in a yellow vest." So if I'm a serial killer, I'm just buying a yellow vest and everyone's stopping for me and I'm killing everyone. But that guy, that cop in that video was even worse than Officer Gillis.
So as Father's Day is coming up, we'll have the U.S. Open. We'll talk about more about that when we get closer to it. As your boy Scotty Scheffler.
I'm a Scotty guy. You're a Scotty hater, so you're pissed.
I am not a Scotty hater.
You wanted him in prison for the champion for the Open.
Yes, I did, because he broke the law. He broke the law. He should go to jail. Right. Fine with me. Put him in jail. Put him in jail. Shave the goddamn beard. Quit bitching about your babies and shit like that. Go to jail. Fine with me. Just some sad news on my fantasy team. Ronald, what?
Oh yeah, Ronald Acuna.
Acuna's got hurt.
Yeah,
he's out for the year.
Poor guy.
The second
MVP
year.
last year.
No kidding. The unanimous MVP out for the year. And that was just a freak non-contact injury, right? Yeah, he's just running to third base on a.
Well, that's what he did when he tore his ACL the first time. It was
right
a non-contact in right field. Yeah, right. I remember.
All right. So just with baseball, the Sox are struggling, back to struggling.
Are they? Are they?
No, they're actually not. They're around 500. I think I said something to somebody today about the Sox, and whoever it was made the greatest point. They have no star power. No shit, they have no star power. Raffy's playing great.
Well, Raffy had that little week for them there. That was
he's playing great, but other than Raffy, who the hell's their star power?
I don't know. I haven't watched many innings. I probably see more innings in person than I've seen on the television. Rafaela made a play last night. He made a really good play last night. So
Rafaela kid's a great defender.
Yeah,
he can hit.
He's like fun to watch defensively, but
and you know what?
That's more of a Twitter thing than a watch.
And you know what? If you can get and that's the different side today. Everybody's looking for the Twitter clip.
That's what my fantasy team. I just watch everyone hit home runs. Twitter, home run. Kyle Tucker.
But Rafael, I think, has the ability to. He
can be a 9.
Exciting to watch, especially when he's in center field.
I saw his defensive metrics. He was like minus outs above average. So
because he went moved to shortstop.
Oh.
Because he's been playing shortstop.
All right, what's it then?
The outfield, I can't believe there's nobody.
All right, is there anything else to talk about?
I just want to give a shout out to our baseball team, who ended up 9-11 to make the tournament. Shout out to my 3 guys who made league all-star. Aiden Balter, who was, I think, had like 65 strikeouts in 55 innings, with like a 2.45 ERA, and we didn't play great defense around him. Who I never really got to coach, but Connor Lovell, who I coached as a freshman 3 years ago, he made the all-star team as an outfielder. And then Noah Spencer, who is among my core 4, be coming to the house next week for dinner. So, maybe we'll have it. They made league all-star. We were like 8-4, 8-5 at one point. Senior prom happened, and we went downhill since then. Hopefully next year will be a little bit better. We're trying to grow the program. We don't have no depth. We're limited depth. But shout out to all our kids.
How's the NIL?
The NIL?
Yeah.
Coach made a joke about bringing kids back with NIL money, but we got to raise some money. You know, you could actually do that in high school. I don't think it's illegal in high school.
Dib.
Huh?
The Everett guy.
Yeah. He did it. He did it was illegal. Yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe we'll start a fund for bringing kids here. We gotta get more of our athletes to stay to play all sports. And then another shout out I need is to my good friend John Amico, the basketball coach, assistant to the athletic director, who took an athletic director job at Pentucket. Congratulations, John. Going to miss him a lot. We really should get him on the podcast because he's a great basketball mind. He also isn't a big fan of Sam Hauser this week, like you. So,
Oh, poor guy. Yeah, Sam Hauser, bad week. But again, we won 4-0. It's a clean start. Knock down a shot in game one. I'm all in. If he
that's
comes
right.
off the bench in
You're
game
all
one
in
and
anyway.
hits that first shot, I'll be Sam Hauser, fire away.
You be back all in. So Wilmington High School looking for a basketball coach as well as somebody to help out at AD Ingram. Sports Award banquet is tomorrow night, so I'll go to that. See how many guys I know win some awards. It's a good time to recognize the good people in Wilmington. We have a lot of good kids. I was telling our principal that we these kids are, most of them are good kids, but always the bad apple spoils the bunch. We had a little incident in one of the games, which wasn't good, but it was stupid, and it was just a stupid kid saying about overweight players. So we'll survive all that. Final thing before we go, we talked about Tommy Trevisani. Eventually, we have it all boils down to this. Tommy and I started. We've seen enough, which had gone off the air when he got.
I will say the bad apple poisons the tree might be a big storyline we see in the next 3 weeks with Kyrie Irving coming to Boston and the reputation of Boston. There are bad apples in Boston. There are.
Way to segregate there because they'll chant that F you Kyrie, it's stupid.
No, not what I'm talking about. I would chant F Kyrie. Kyrie. You know what? We didn't talk about Kyrie. You know what?
We're not talking about Kyrie until next week.
We'll talk about Kyrie. But the F Kyrie people, they're not the bad apples. The bad apples are the very select few that could cross the line. So let's not do that. And let's just but then because Kyrie will 100%, he will take
he'll yak it out. He'll take advantage of it, right? He's such a scumbag, he'll take advantage of it. Great.
No, but that's not being a scumbag. If someone does,
he's right. He's right. He'll be right. We don't need to be like that. We'll never. It's always like the bad apples. You're right.
Yeah, the bad apples.
Back to my final point here before we get to go on. Tommy and I we've seen enough. He wants to get back. Hopefully, we'll get back him here to transition us back onto that. So now I have 2 podcasts going. But JTrev is another loyal listener, loyal caller, big NFL expert for us. He got promoted, is what I heard. He's now director of football operations. Is that what it is for UNH?
Player.
Huh?
Player operations?
Whatever it is. He's director of the operations for the football team, working with the football coach. He'll still do some scouting and some recruiting, but it's a great job for him. I'm really proud of him and happy for him that he's moving up the ladder. Someday he'll be a GM somewhere and you and I'll get free tickets. I'll be going to all these free games. That's all I care about, Justin.
If JTrev were ever GM, that'd be so funny when he
it'd be awesome for us, wouldn't it?
No, him picking a bust or something, be like, oh, JTrev. That'd be so awesome if JTrev was a GM.
It would be beyond awesome because then I could go sit in the GM box and get the TV show away like I'm Travis Kelce and stuff like that. So
that's a long career path, and you'd have to you gotta stay healthy if you want to make it.
I'm pretty healthy right now.
I don't think he's anywhere near that right now.
Hey, all I want to say, shout out JTrev. Proud of you guys.
JTrev, by the way, his golf game is it's as good as I've ever seen it. He's getting to be a pretty good golfer.
Good. So we should live podcast a golf match too with you.
The one thing he did, he hit a ball, he hit a shot. It was I don't know what hole it was on. I don't even know what club. I don't even know where it was. He hit a shot that went high. It went like professional level high. It's like I've never hit it like that. It was impressive. So yeah, shout out JTrev, shout out UNH. UNH got a Temple transfer in basketball. Did you see that?
What'd they get?
Some center. JTrev goes, how's this guy? I go, who? He's like, he's from Temple. I look him up. He didn't even average, Draymond Green, the triple single.
Was it?
I don't know. He was a triple fraction guy. He averaged like 0.9 points and 0.7 rebounds. JTrev.
I'll look it up. I'll look it up when we're done.
They have no money up there in UNH. That's what JTrev was saying.
It's a paying job, which is good.
I'm not talking about his salary. I'm saying the NIL. They have no money.
Right, Temple got no NIL.
No, but like UNH, they lose players to I forget what school, like Niagara or something.
Right, that's gonna happen. Yeah, that's gonna happen. All right, so wrap up.
Tommy T, name us 2 NBA players that went to Niagara.
Murphy.
There's probably no one.
Yeah, there's Murphy.
Okay, don't say it. Oh, we should have left. I should give that.
Shit.
I'm gonna text him.
No, don't text him.
No, I'll get this for next podcast, but I'm going to text him it. Okay.
So the players, I mean,
No, I'll save it for next podcast. He ain't listening to this.
Little Murphy, little
Let's
shrimp.
get out of here. We've been going.
All right, so that's it. So again, hopefully we'll have next podcast, do a nice finals preview, see where else is going. So for It All Boils Down to This, for Jack Boyle, I'm Jim Boyle, and we'll see you on down the road.
Thanks for listening to this episode of It All Boils Down to This, recorded at WCTV studios in our hometown of Wilmington, Massachusetts. We are always open to any ideas, critiques, topics, and guests. So if anyone out there in podcast world needs to get a hold of us, we can be reached via email at jboyle22@comcast.net. Along with Jack Boyle, I'm Jim Boyle. Make sure to tune in to the next edition of It All Boils Down to This.